Hi, I'm Dr. Stephanie Chadwick, and today's art chat is Post-Impressionism. Post-Impressionism was a term coined in the early 20th century by British artist and critic Roger Fry. He used the term to describe the worlds of pictorial possibilities that had been opened up by the Impressionists. Post-Impressionism represents a wide array of artistic practices artists began to explore in the wake of Impressionism. Some of the most significant contributions were made by artists such as Georges Seurat, who created what he called Neo-Impressionism, Vincent van Gogh, who explored Expressionist painting, Paul Gauguin, who investigated what he called synthetism, and Paul Cezanne, whose experimental work became very influential to the Cubists. Like the Impressionists, the Post-Impressionists were interested in new ways of seeing and creating paintings, but they went even further in their experimentation with pictorial space and effects. Like the Impressionists, Neo-Impressionist Georges Seurat was interested in color theory. He combined interests in earlier color theory with the new science of optics. Evolving from the looser brushwork of Impressionism, Seurat brought a more structured approach to his depictions of modern life. Seurat's painting is often associated with the term pointillism, which means to apply the paint in small daubs or dots. But he preferred the term divisionism for his technique. And this is a technique in which he applied the dots of color, for example, blue and yellow, next to each other, with the idea that they would blend in the eyes and the minds of the viewers to form the color green. Seurat applied these dots in fields of analogous colors, such as we can see here in the grass of one of his most famous paintings. He was also interested in contrasts, however, so he would create items such as the garments, using analogous colors in a warmer palette. Vincent van Gogh's painting is considered to be expressive because he experimented with elements such as line, color, and texture to create emotionally impactful pictorial effects. In Van Gogh's Night Café, he depicted what he called the terrible passions of humanity. He did this with vertigo-inspiring perspective, glaringly contrasted colors, and sickly greenish-yellow light. In Starry Night, Van Gogh used thick, linear swirls of paint to create the sense that this was no ordinary landscape. Instead, it was transformed by the artist's creative interpretation. These effects came not only from Van Gogh's imagination, but also from the European craze at that time for Japanese prints, which organized space differently than Western art and placed a greater emphasis on pictorial form than on naturalism. Van Gogh had a short, turbulent friendship with Paul Gauguin, who also looked to Japanese prints and other non-Western art for inspiration as he radically transformed art in the West. Gauguin is well known for his problematic legacy of appropriation and exoticism. In terms of his transformation of Western art, leading to modernism, he's best known for his flattening out of the canvas and his large, segregated planes of vivid colors. Gauguin called his work synthetism because it synthesized subject, idea, color, and form to create something in between symbolism and nature. Paul Cezanne also flattened his compositions. Instead of receding back into pictorial space like the paintings of the old masters, his appeared to tip up and toward the viewer. So much so that here the apples look as though they might roll right off of this depicted table and land on the floor in front of the viewer. Cezanne was interested in structure, and his paintings became characterized by a sense of upward structure and segmented patches of paint that became extremely influential to the 20th century Cubists. Like the other artists discussed in this video, Cezanne's emphasis on the formal properties of painting and his abstracted figures and scenes helped pave the way for the art of the 20th century.